To save her mother from death, a girl steals an apple from a millionaire, and what happened next will be one of the most touching and relatable transformations you've ever heard of. Before we start the story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from. And finally, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy. I was signing a $200 million contract when I saw her. A dozen floors up, behind bulletproof glass, I should have been focused on the dotted line in front of me. The ink was drying. The champagne was chilling. But something tugged at me. Down below, in the alley that ran alongside my office building, a young girl was slipping a bruised apple into the pocket of her threadbare coat. She was small, 12 maybe, dark-skinned, with hair like a wild crown and eyes far too old for her face. She wasn't fast enough. The fruit vendor caught her by the wrist and began yelling. A crowd gathered. Phones came out. People watched, recorded, whispered. No one stepped in. That should have been the end of it. Another poor kid stealing food, another city moment. But I saw her eyes. Not afraid. Not ashamed. Just hollow. I left the boardroom without a word. By the time I reached the street, the vendor had her backed against the wall, still shouting. Thief! You think just because you're a kid you can take what you want? She stole an apple, I said calmly, stepping between them. The vendor blinked. What? I pulled out $100 bill and handed it to him. This should cover it. And the next dozen kids who steal from you. He took the money but scowled. The crowd began to drift. The phones disappeared. The show was over. The girls stared at me silent. What's your name? Nothing. Where's your family? Her jaw clenched. Still nothing. Just those eyes. Like she was used to being invisible and didn't trust the light. You hungry? Still silence. I sighed. I'm Ben. That made her blink. I don't know why that hit different. I'm not a cop. I'm not here to hurt you. Just come with me. Get something warm to eat. You can leave after. After a long pause, she nodded. The diner was half a block away. She sat across from me in a booth, dripping rain onto the vinyl seat, arms crossed. I ordered for her. Grilled cheese, tomato soup, and hot cocoa. She didn't say a word until the food arrived. Then, slowly, like she didn't trust it, she picked up the sandwich. I watched her take a bite. Something softened in her face. For the first time, she looked like a child. What's your name? I asked again. This time, she spoke. Amara. Just one word. But it was enough. Over the next hour, I learned little and too much. She lived with her mom in a rundown motel on the south side. No father. No brothers. No help. Her mom was sick, mostly bedbound. Amara skipped school to find food, odd jobs, anything. She didn't want charity. She didn't want pity. She just wanted the world to leave her alone. You're 12? Almost 13. I nodded, trying not to let the weight of that crush me. At 12, I had a nanny, a tennis coach, and a private tutor for math. At 12, she had a dying mother and a backpack full of half-eaten fruit. Why did you help me? She asked suddenly. I didn't have a good answer. Because you looked like someone I used to know. That was the truth. More than she could ever guess. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing her eyes. Hearing her voice. Remembering another girl, from another lifetime, who had those same proud shoulders and stubborn silence. Lisa. God, I hadn't thought of her in years. The woman I walked away from for business. For ambition. For the life I thought I wanted. I got everything I ever chased. Private jets. Glass towers. Silence. But maybe, just maybe, I lost something more. The next morning, I sent someone to the motel. Lisa was there. So was Amara. The test came back 3 days later. She was mine. There are moments in a man's life that cut through everything else: money, pride, success. For me, it was the way Lisa looked at me from that motel bed. Not hate. Not anger. Worse. Disbelief. Ben? Her voice cracked like old paint. She looked thinner. Her skin, once glowing with youth and laughter, was pale and tired. But those eyes, they still knew me. I tried to smile. Hey, Lisa. She stared for a long time, then looked past me. Toward the door. For a second I thought she might tell me to get out. How did you find us? I didn't. She found me. Amara? I nodded. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were glassy. Why now? After all this time? I sat down slowly in the chair next to the bed. Because I didn't know. Her silence was sharper than any scream. You think I would have walked away if I knew she existed? Lisa didn't answer. Just stared at the ceiling. I leaned forward. Let me help. Let me fix some of this. That finally made her laugh. Dry, brittle. Fix it? Ben, you don't show up after 12 years with a wallet full of guilt and expect to fix anything. I nodded. I deserve that. What do you want from us? Just time. With her. With you. Whatever you'll give. She was quiet for a long time. Then, to my shock, she nodded. You get one chance. Not for me. For her. The next day, I took Amara to a bookstore. She didn't want clothes. Or electronics. But when she saw the economics section, her face changed. You like this stuff? She nodded, pulling a copy of Freakonomics off the shelf. I want to know how money works. How power works. I watched her flip through it like it was a comic book. She didn't look up. Did you ever know your dad? I asked. Nope. Mom said he was too busy chasing skyscrapers. I swallowed hard. She turned to me. Was he rich? Eventually. Then I hope he regrets it. I nodded. He does. Every day. She stared at me for a long time. Then picked up the book and walked toward the register. Didn't say another word. But she let me pay. It was a start. I stood outside their motel room door for what felt like hours. My hand was raised to knock, but I couldn't move. Inside were the consequences of everything I had built, and everything I had broken. Lisa opened the door before I could knock. She looked tired, older than I remembered, but still had that same quiet strength. Amara was sitting on the edge of the bed behind her, legs crossed, book in hand, watching me like I was a storm cloud about to break. Come in, Lisa said, stepping aside. I walked in slowly. Amara didn't speak. She didn't even blink. Lisa sat on the edge of the bed, across from me. Amara stayed put, arms folded. She knows, Lisa said quietly. You told her? She guessed. She's not stupid. Amara stood up. Her voice was sharp. Why didn't you want me? That question cut deeper than any knife. I didn't know about you, I said. If I had, you would have done what? Raised me in a penthouse? I tried to meet her eyes. Maybe. Or maybe I would have messed it up. But I would have tried. She looked at me for a long time. You're just a man in a suit. You don't know me. I want to. If you'll let me. Lisa spoke up. You can be angry, Amara. But he's here now. That counts for something. Amara turned away. Her shoulders trembled. But she didn't walk out. That weekend, I took them both to a real clinic. Lisa had been living on expired painkillers and half doses of antibiotics. She needed care. Real care. I paid for everything. She didn't thank me. She didn't have to. Her silence was enough. Not hostile, just cautious. You don't owe me anything, I said as we waited in the hallway. I know, Lisa replied. But that doesn't mean I won't take what you're offering, for her. We drove through the city. Amara stared out the window, quiet. Ever been uptown? I asked. She shook her head. Wanna see where I live? She gave me a side eye. What for? So I can see what I missed? So you can see what's possible. She didn't answer. But when we reached my building, she got out of the car. Upstairs, in my penthouse, she walked like someone afraid to touch anything. She ran her fingers across the piano keys without pressing them. She stared at the floor-to-ceiling windows like they showed another planet. "This view always made me feel small," I said. "It makes me feel invisible," she replied. I knelt beside her. "You're not invisible. Not anymore." She didn't look at me. But she stayed a little longer. Later that night, I stood alone on the balcony. Lisa came out with a blanket around her shoulders. "She doesn't trust easy," she said. "Neither do I." We stood in silence. "Why didn't you ever come back?" she finally asked. "I thought about you every day. But I was building something. Then years passed. Then shame did the rest." She nodded. "Well, she's yours. And she's brilliant. But she's got your walls. Then maybe I can help her tear them down." Lisa gave a tired smile. "You better. Because if you hurt her again, there won't be a fourth chance." I nodded. I didn't need a fourth. This time, I would stay. 2 weeks passed before Amara said more than 10 words to me at once. She'd agreed, barely, to move with her mom into a furnished apartment I arranged in Midtown. It was modest compared to my place, but miles better than the motel they'd come from. Clean sheets. A stocked fridge. Working heat. Still, Amara never unpacked fully. Her backpack stayed zipped. Her shoes pointed toward the door. One afternoon, I found her on the rooftop garden. Alone. "You don't like it here," I said. She shrugged. "It's too quiet. You'd rather be back in the alley?" "No." But at least there, I knew what to expect. I sat beside her. Trust doesn't grow overnight. But this isn't a trap. She looked at me finally. "I still don't get it. Why now? Why care at all?" "Because I missed 12 years I can never get back. And I don't want to miss any more." She didn't respond. But she didn't leave either. Lisa was healing slowly. Real meals, proper medication, daily checkups. She still had pain, but it didn't own her anymore. Her laughter, soft and rare, had started to return. One night she looked at me over tea. "She's scared to love you. Because love never stayed before. Then I'll stay until she believes it." School was next. A private academy with scholarships for underprivileged students. I pulled every string I had to make it happen. Amara didn't want to go. "They'll know I don't belong," she said. "That's their problem," I told her. "Not yours." On her first day, I walked her through the gates. Her uniform didn't fit quite right. Her face was stone. "You don't have to be the best," I said. "Just be you." "You say that now," she muttered. "Let's see if you still say it after Parents' Day." I chuckled. "Try me." A week later, I got a call. Amara had spoken up in a class debate, calm, brilliant, and unflinching. Her teacher was floored. She challenged the entire class on fiscal equity and generational poverty. Quoted 3 economists from memory. "Is she studying this on her own?" "Since she was 9. I said. That weekend, I brought her to my company's annual charity event. She wore a simple navy dress. No jewelry. Just confidence. People stared. One donor leaned in and asked, "Is that your niece?" I smiled. "That's my daughter." The man blinked. "Ah. I didn't know you had kids." "Neither did I. Until recently." Later that night, we stood on the balcony. "They all looked at me like I didn't belong," she said. "That's because they don't know who you are yet." "And who am I?" "You're the girl who turned a rooftop into her throne. The one who argued down a room full of millionaires with a borrowed library card. You're my daughter. And they'll learn." She didn't cry. But her shoulders relaxed. Just a little. It was a start. There's a look a child gives you when they're deciding whether to forgive you. I saw it one morning while pouring cereal in Lisa's kitchen. Amara hovered in the doorway, arms crossed, backpack slung low. Her eyes flicked from the bowl to me. You always this domestic? Only when I'm trying to impress tough critics. A smirk. Brief. But it was there. She sat. Ate half the bowl. Then stood. Mom says you used to be fun. She's lying. I was never fun. Amara rolled her eyes. Good to know you're consistent. Then she left for school. And I stood in the kitchen smiling like an idiot. That weekend, I took her to a small airfield outside the city. No press. No staff. Just her, me, and a private flight instructor named Greg. Why are we here? You said you wanted to fly? She blinked. I was joking. Well, I wasn't. Greg gave her a quick tour. She asked more questions in 10 minutes than most adults ask in a year. Altitude ratios. Lift force. Fuel economics. She's got the brain for it, Greg said. And the guts. On the drive home, Amara stared out the window. I liked it. The plane. The sky. It's like up there, everything's quiet. Do you want lessons? She hesitated. Yeah. I think I do. Lisa smiled when I told her. I always knew she'd aim high. She wants to be a pilot and an economist. That tracks. She used to charge other kids snacks to explain their homework. I laughed. Born CEO. Born survivor. You just gave her a runway. Then came Parents' Day. I wore a suit. Amara told me not to. You'll scare everyone. I'll be charming. You're not charming. She was right. Still, we walked in together. Her classmates stared. One boy whispered, That's her dad. Yeah, another said. He owns like everything. Amara rolled her eyes. I smiled. Her homeroom teacher pulled me aside. She's brilliant. But guarded. Doesn't raise her hand unless she's certain. She's been let down before. She's cautious. The teacher nodded. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She's starting to believe she belongs. That night, Amara showed me her midterm grades. Straight A's. She placed the sheet on the table like it was nothing. But her fingers trembled. I guess I didn't screw it up yet, she said. You crushed it. Don't get mushy. Too late. I pulled her into a hug. She let me. Just for a second. But long enough to know the wall was cracking. Later, as I walked Lisa to her room, she touched my arm. She's starting to believe in family again. That's the hardest part. I nodded. One step at a time. Lisa paused. You ever think about what comes next? For us? My heart skipped. Every day. She didn't say more. Just smiled. Then closed her door gently behind her. The first time I saw the email, I thought it was spam. Subject urgent, incident in class. But it wasn't. It was from Amara's school. Someone had slipped a note in her locker. 4 words. Sharp. Cruel. Go back to gutters. She didn't cry. Didn't yell. Just folded it up and handed it to the dean. When I arrived at the school, she was sitting outside the office, arms crossed, face blank. You okay? She nodded, but her eyes betrayed her. The dean looked embarrassed. We're investigating. Do better, I said. Fast. That night, Amara sat silent at dinner. I asked if she wanted to transfer schools. No, she said. Why not? Because if I leave, they win. And I don't lose. There was steel in her voice. A fire I hadn't seen before. Then we fight. Together. She nodded. She started a student group. Equity Club. Open to anyone, focused on inclusion, representation, access. I offered funding. She refused. It has to be from us. Not from your wallet. Fair. I just smiled and ordered pizza for their first meeting. Weeks passed. The whispers faded. Amara rose. Debates. Projects. Community service. Her name started appearing on more than just test scores. Then came the state competition. Young economic minds. 20 schools. 1 winner. She stood on stage in a navy blazer and sneakers, explaining community-based currency systems in low-income neighborhoods. When they called her name, she didn't smile. She looked right at me. Then she grinned. That night, we walked the High Line under fading city lights. You ever wonder if I'll always be the charity case kid? You're not anyone's charity. You're the reason the word resilient exists. She didn't answer. You earned that trophy, I said. You keep earning everything. She glanced over. You think I'm enough? Even if I don't become some headline? You were enough the moment I met you. She slipped her hand in mine. It was the first time she reached for me. Lisa watched from the window when we came back. She smiled, then vanished into the kitchen. Later, she handed me a folder. Her birth certificate. She said, if you want to make it legal. I do. Then do it before she changes her mind. The next morning, I filed the paperwork. Benjamin Pierce, legal guardian of Amara Elise Pierce. 12 years late. But right on time. Senior year came faster than I expected. One day she was memorizing state capitals, the next she was arguing federal interest rates over dinner. Amara had grown into herself, confident, sharp, unrelenting. But with success came new tension. She didn't want to follow my footsteps. She wanted to carve her own path, on her terms. It started with a debate in my boardroom. I brought her in to shadow me for a day. She sat quietly through the morning meetings. But by lunch, she was leaning forward, eyes narrowed. Why is your foundation investing in tech startups and not in community banks? My CFO blinked. Excuse me? Amara didn't flinch. Tech is great, but you're funneling millions into apps while neighborhood credit unions are shutting down. How is that economic justice? Silence. She looked at me. Is this what your version of impact looks like? The room shifted. I leaned back. Maybe it's time we rethink our version. That night, she barely touched her food. I embarrassed you, she said finally. No, I replied. You challenged me. That's not the same thing. She looked surprised. You're not just my daughter. You're the future I couldn't see coming. Her equity club morphed into something bigger. They organized a citywide youth summit. Over 500 students showed up. Amara spoke last. Her words weren't rehearsed. They were raw, honest. We're not broken. We're unheard. And we're done waiting. The room erupted. College letters came in waves. Brown. Yale. Columbia. Every top school. But she chose Howard. It feels like home, she said. And I want to be somewhere I don't have to explain why I belong. I nodded. Then that's where you go. Lisa's health had begun to waver again. Small things. Fatigue. Dizziness. She tried to hide it. One afternoon, I found her in the hallway, clutching the wall. You need to rest. I don't want her to see me weak. Not now. She's strong because of you. Let her be strong for you too. Amara visited her mom every evening before dinner. She brought tea. Books. Her latest research. You make her proud, I said once. She made me brave, Amara replied. At the end of your ceremony, Amara received the Outstanding Student Award. She didn't look at the crowd. She looked straight at us. Everything I am is because 2 people didn't give up. One who held on. And one who came back. I didn't cry. Lisa did. That night, I asked her a question. If you could do anything, no limits, what would it be? She thought for a moment. Build a foundation. For kids like me. The ones nobody sees. I smiled. Then that's what we build. Together. And just like that, a storm became a mission. We didn't call it a goodbye. When Amara left for college, the house felt too big. Her room stayed exactly the same, flight manuals stacked, index cards on the wall, a vision board taped to the mirror. Lisa and I stood on the sidewalk as she climbed into the cab. Amara looked out the window, nervous and fierce all at once. "You'll visit, right?" she asked. "Every chance we get," I said. She nodded, then added quietly, "I love you." Lisa squeezed my hand so tight I almost missed it when I whispered back, "We love you more." Lisa's condition was worsening. Not suddenly, but steadily. Some days were good. Others were clouded in fatigue and silence. "I hate being weak," she muttered once, curled on the couch under a knit blanket. "You're not weak. You're fighting." She looked at me, eyes softer now. "You've changed." "No," I said. "You reminded me who I was." One night, after her third hospital stay in 2 months, I asked her to marry me. She blinked. "Ben, no speeches. No timelines. Just say yes. While we still have today." Her eyes filled with tears. She nodded. "Yes. We were married the next month. Small. Private. Just us, Amara, and a few close friends. Lisa wore a simple dress, sunlight in her hair, love in her smile. I hadn't felt that whole since before I ever knew what broken meant. Amara came home for the wedding. She gave a toast. Some people are born into love. I walked into it at 12 years old. And I never stopped being grateful. Not a dry eye in the room. After the honeymoon, Lisa began hospice care at home. Her wish. We built a routine around soft light, quiet music, shared silence. Amara video called every night. Read her class essays aloud. Talked about the kids she was mentoring. "You changed her life," Lisa whispered one evening. "She changed mine." Lisa smiled faintly. "She'll be okay. Even after." I held her hand. "So will I. Because of you." She closed her eyes. That was the last thing she ever said. We buried Lisa on a quiet hill with a view of the skyline she once called hope. Amara stood beside me. She didn't cry that day. She held my arm, held me together. "Let's make her proud," she whispered. "Every day," I promised. We left the graveyard hand in hand, ready to finish what we started. The campus buzzed with spring. Seniors rushed to finish final projects, announcements filled the bulletin boards, and Amara, my daughter, was at the heart of it all. She was co-president of the Economics Society, part of a think tank on wealth disparity, and tutoring high school students in under-resourced neighborhoods. One afternoon I visited unannounced. Her dorm room was stacked with books, flashcards, and a half-eaten protein bar balanced on top of her laptop. She looked up. "You're early." "Miss you," I said. "I miss sleep," she replied with a grin. Lisa's birthday came in April. Amara organized a memorial on campus. Just a few students, some candles, and a slideshow she put together herself. When her photo came up, Lisa in her wedding dress, sunlight in her hair, Amara stepped up to the mic. "My mom didn't live long enough to see the fund we're building. But she saw me. And that was enough." I couldn't speak. I just nodded, hands folded tightly in my lap. Graduation came with gold cords and standing ovations. Valedictorian. Full ride to Columbia for her graduate degree. Best student in the economics department. Her speech was short. "There's power in being seen. In being believed in. I stand here because someone saw a scared girl in an alley and chose not to walk away. If you ever get the same chance, don't." Applause thundered. She looked at me. And I cried. That summer, we launched the Amara Fund, scholarships, mentorships, emergency aid for kids living in the margins. She led the vision. I handled the money. She set one rule. We meet every recipient in person. They're not numbers. They're stories. We visited shelters, schools, drop-in centers. Every kid she met, she spoke to like a peer, not a project. One boy, 13, missing a shoe, asked her, "Are you really rich now?" Amara smiled. "I'm rich in second chances. That's the only kind that matters." I couldn't have said it better. In late August, Columbia sent her the official invitation to speak at the incoming student orientation. Her topic? Invisible No More, Economics for the Underdog. I sat in the front row. When she stepped on stage, confident and bright, I realized something. She didn't just survive. She transformed. And so did I. The sun poured over the vineyard like something out of a dream. Rows of white chairs stretched across the green hill, flowers lined the aisle, and jazz drifted softly over the breeze. Amara stood under the archway, radiant in ivory, her natural curls pinned back with tiny pearls. I stood beside her, heart pounding. "You ready?" I asked. She looked up at me, eyes shimmering. "Are you?" I smiled. "No. But I'm proud." Then I walked her down the aisle. Each step was a chapter. Each breath was redemption. Her groom, Marcus, was everything I'd hoped she'd find. Kind, focused, patient. A non-profit director with a laugh that melted rooms. They met at a youth advocacy summit. He asked her for her opinion on a housing policy paper. She corrected his math and then asked him out. Power move. Very Amara. After the ceremony, we danced. "You ever think this day would come?" she asked. "Not even in my wildest prayers." She rested her head on my shoulder. "Thank you for not giving up on us. You saved me just as much as I saved you." 2 months later, she defended her graduate thesis with distinction. Her topic? Sustainable Economic Empowerment for Urban Youth. The university published it. Donors reached out. And the Amara Fund expanded nationwide. She was invited to the White House. Then came the TED Talk. Title: The Girl in the Alley. She opened with the story of the apple, the rain, the man in the suit who stopped to help. She didn't name me. She didn't have to. Then she said this: "We build the future by refusing to look away. Every invisible child holds an untold story. And when we choose to see them, we rewrite more than their fate, we rewrite our own." When she stepped off that stage, I was waiting. "You changed the world," I said. She smiled. "No. We just started seeing it clearly." And as the applause roared in the background, I realized something. That little girl in the alley didn't just find her way out. She lit the path for everyone else still trapped in the dark. And I just had the honor of walking behind her, watching the world catch fire with her light.